Hi everybody, welcome to my channel for new battle report. As you can see on the left, I have been doing some painting job again on my Ogre Khan. A couple of months ago I was telling you on the channel that I was finished with them and that I was 100% happy, but still I've been working again on greases, for example, putting a bit more of color, gold and stuff. So I've been working around the model a lot, and I'm still planning to do some other conversion job to put a chariot below him. He sits on the throne at the moment that I converted, and I want to put a chariot below, so it's still some job to do. I've also been doing some job on other characters, so yeah, having fun at the moment with the painting job. I was facing my usual opponent, Lichmeister, playing his Beastard. We were preparing for a tournament, so this was a practice game for a tournament. You will see the same list for me in the upcoming tournament. So basically, this is just a rework of my ETC list. We have a special rule for this tournament. You need to have a giant in your list, and basically if you kill the opponent giant, you get a +1 on the score, meaning if it's a 13-7 and I kill the giant, will go to 14, for example. So some rework. I decided to change some stuff that I wasn't 100% happy with, but yeah, mostly I was happy with the list. So I just took away 18-inch BSB. I decided then to just split the Yetis, the 5 Yetis, in 2 Yetis and a giant. I took away the scraplings to be able to fit that, and the rest didn't move much. You see, the rest is pretty much the same. My opponent was trying the following list: a warlord on the chariot with the Eye of Dominance, and rerolled I think something to, the 1 to hit additional attack for him. Don't remember exactly. Fatal Folly, I think it's called. Then a BSB with a 4-up with a Beast Axe and Totem Bearer, a Master Shamanism with a Binding Scroll, 3 attack, strength 5 and distracting. These two characters are going to go within a block of Longhorn to give them bodyguard. Then he has, so basically he can take some challenge with the Shamanism guy, and then he has still a pretty tanky BSB. 13 ambushing wild horns, 8 dogs chaff, 2x3 raiding chariots that are providing some nice zoning. And we discussed the list as we usually do before building some lists. We discuss a lot together, and we thought for Beast Earth, for example, Dreadev's matchup can be challenging because things that strike before the Beast Earth and strike hard, for example this new infantry block, are just too hard for Beast Herd usually. So the idea was to include some expendable chariot, basically to inflict some damage to cripple enough the unit that they are not able after that to fight, for example, against the 33 Longhorn. He put a second ambushing scoring unit, 33 Longhorns, 2x3 Minotaur with great weapon that adds some high strength attack. In the list, I think they are very nice in this setup because they are maneuverable. You can put them a bit behind and then still profit from the fact that you have battle focus, reroll to hit, and then you wound usually on an easy roll because of the great weapon. So I really love the idea, and basically he has a 5 scoring unit, which is always nice. 5 gargoyles and then 2 giants. Giant in Beaster book are, in my view, quite nice because they can take advantage from Vanguard, and having this kind of monster that can be really fast on the first turn is nice. They are expendable, not so expensive, so yeah, I quite love them for Beaster. I think it's a pretty solid list. Basically it's around a big block to hold some objective with both characters. Then you have the Warlord, who is for me a key piece because you don't have access to tools against like, I don't know, you don't have shooting or range magic to shoot big stuff, so having him with Eye of Dominant, I think this is key to block a lot of problems for Beasters. So I think it's pretty auto include for the list. Basically, which is nice. You can also profit from the Razor Chariot giving the extra inch on the charge, and also the fact that he's same size as a lot of stuff. You can hide him behind all this chariot, for example. So we picked the following spell. I took 1, 2, 6 and Hereditary. I expected quite a lot of combat, I thought number 2 is really nice because he has not a lot of armor, and if I kill the giant I get this extra point, so Swarm of Insect was a no-brainer. But then the rest I was debating a little bit between Totemic Summon and Hereditary, and I thought if he comes for me I might need the extra buff, so let's go for this one. And Lichmeister decided to take almost the same, he just took Savage Fury instead of my Hereditary spell. We played randomly Secure Target and Dawn Assault. So Bruiser, I cannot afford to be charged by Longhorn. They go before me, they do a ton of damage, so I cannot accept that. I need to cover them with Mercenaries, Chaff, and ensure that I get the charge, for example. Mercenaries are for me a key unit in the matchup. In combination with the Frost Mammoth, they can basically absorb anything, and then they can shoot a lot of stuff. So they are really good in this matchup, especially since he has no range damage to cripple them, and it's very hard for him to engage them in combat. So I think they are really good here. I have a range damage advantage, so he will need to be aggressive to score points and win the game. I have to use my Yetis and Giant to annoy him, delay him. That's the idea. Obviously the Giant can be good against the Longhorn, but the Yetis, by 2 Yetis, that's the main role, to annoy the opponent, try to go out of arc. Dawn Assault, Secure Target, means we know where we are going, we know where we start. You don't have a lot of room to maneuver, so I think starting would be an advantage here, and my matchup estimation would have been a 12 for this game. So I forgot to take a deployment picture, but I will tell you what we did. So first of all, we have a forest here, an impassable, a wall below my unit, another wall here, a hill on the right, ruin, another hill on the left. So Lichmeister won the roll for side. He decided to take this part of the board, and I have this part of the board, so basically he gave me the impassable in the middle of my deployment, which is smart. And then he used, I think, very well the table setup and the train and all the stuff to create a good combination for his Secure Target to be very safe for him. So he has this 3/4, and then he put his Secure Target right here, which is for me really hard to go after, because if you take 24 from that, I don't have any good points to put Secure Target because of the impassable, so I had to put mine somewhere more middle-ish. To put here in the back is not interesting at all because he has ambushing scoring unit, so anything close to the board is very nice for him to go after. So I thought if I want to get to be in the right zone and not avoid him, the safest point close to his was here. Basically, I had no better choice. So I put mine here, and the idea was to put my heavy eating unit in the middle, and then some small scoring on the right and stuff that can move. So I put my giant here on the right, cannon here, the 2 darts, Bruiser, Star with old character, Frosty, mercenaries were placed on the left, because basically I knew that he would have stuff to push here on the left, but the fact that I was able to start and having the mercenaries on the left meant that they were, I think in my view, very effective at closing the left side, because for him not starting and putting stuff on the line that I can shoot from turn 1 is a bit annoying, so he was pretty much forced to minimize my turn 1 shooting, and therefore I mitigate what he might do on the left. I put 2 Yetis on the left also to be annoying and possibly go out of arc. Since I was going to start, I can do 12 plus 14, which is 26, meaning I have a lot of options to go in his flank, which could be very annoying for him. So that was my idea of deployment. And Lichmeister, he put some miners here on the left, chariot behind the hill, a giant, that vanguard here on the back, so basically making sure that he minimized completely my shooting. I have nothing sweet to shoot at. Longhorn block, gargoyle, dogs, razor lord, hidden behind some chariots, meaning that even if I move 6 I cannot shoot him. 3 chariot, 3 minotaurs, and a giant here in the back. Something that surprised me a little bit that I didn't really consider was the fact that he can still despite the fact that that's a quarter where he cannot deploy anything, he was still able to deploy a lot of strengths here on a small part of the board, because he was able to put a giant that can pop up easily, miners behind the lord and the chariot, which is a lot of combat strengths. So yeah, I didn't feel that confident on the right side after I saw his deployment, because I only have a chariot and giant and some darts. It's not enough to beat this kind of unit. So my turn 1, basically didn't do much, move forward. Since the mercenaries were out of range of tasty stuff, I just marched them forward to be close to the objective and already close a little bit to the map, and yeah, avoid that the Longhorn can push freely forward without giving me any chaff. Yet he's just made sure that chariot cannot see me, but they cannot go freely on the hill because they would get charged by me. I'm not sure he wants to take the risk. Bruiser Star just move forward, Frosty and the stuff on the right. Here he wasn't too careful about I didn't found the crazy good stuff, but still I was able to push forward max and be out of range of chariot and outside of line of sight of the Minos, outside of both line of sight. So I had a free spot where I could land, and basically that will slow him down because he will need to adjust the position, take into account what I might do, and then I can always play with the hill and back. So I was quite happy to be able to put pressure early on, because I knew that at some point I will need to retreat on this right part of the board. Magic phase, I got Swarm of Insect off, did 3 wounds to the giant, which is nice. And then cannon did nothing, shooting did nothing. I put +1 toughness on mercenaries. His turn 1. Basically he continues to use the hill, so he just slides the chariot to see me. And he will try to buff them with magic spell, because yeah, I made the math. If I take the charge, it's depending a lot on his fear check, on his reroll to hit check. I can go through, I can get blocked, so he just made sure he has some counter charge set up if I try the charge, and if I don't make him free, basically he can get my Yetis. So that's his ID. The rest, Longhorn moved slightly forward. He repositioned himself on the right to block completely my giant. So that's what I mentioned before. In the magic phase, I dispelled Swarm of Insect on the Yetis because I was out of BSB bubble. My BSB was here, and with 12 inch I wasn't able to get the Yetis in, meaning I was afraid of taking a panic check early on, so I just dispelled that one. But then he got a +1 toughness on them, making sure I cannot charge them with Yetis. My turn 2. So my Kinetus come on the board. I decide to place him here behind, just to make sure I can annoy the chaff and the big block at some point, and might use him to charge him, block him, or try to charge chaff. So that's the idea. I could have placed it slightly more to the back, just to make sure it's more annoying for him to block me, or he needs to give me a chaff for against my Kineater. I think I could have placed slightly more in the back, would have been slightly better. Mercenaries just reposition. I bring back the Yetis within BSB bubble. Frosty stays back, move forward a little bit with Death Star and reposition. I was able here to get the dart out of arc, and basically if he charge me I can always flee. These guys are within bubble, so I was quite happy to move forward, try to be aggressive and put some pressure on the dogs as well. Giant moved slightly back on the hill, continued to be a threat. Cannon just didn't move at all, and I just slide them sideways. Also, I made sure that with ambush, he cannot enter and shoot them, he cannot enter and shoot the dog. So basically what I left unprotected was here and here. I think after, I think what I should have done is turn around the Frosty, because it's unlikely that I'm going to go in a huge combat soon, so I think I could have turned around the Frosty just to protect the backside, make sure I don't want him in my backline. Maybe I could have look back. I think that wouldn't have hurt, and this unit could have also looked back just to protect this part of the board. Maybe I cannot protect everywhere because I need to shoot forward, and I need the giant to look forward also to annoy him to move forward. So I need to keep stuff looking forward, but I think these guys could have just looked back without any harm done. In Magic Phase, I cast Break the Spirit on his big block, which is nice. And then with mercenaries, I was able to get 5 wounds to the Minotaurs, which is also very nice. Cannon did 2 wounds to his giant. Yeah, I think that was it, more or less. I also killed some small stuff, some wolf. I think I killed 2 wolves. And that's it for my turn. So his turn 2, his ambush comes on the board. That's wild turn, going to shoot at my bruiser. Yeah, not too annoying. This guy just moves slightly forward. Chariot stays behind the hill. He backs the giant to manage the Keen Eater. These guys just move slightly back to make sure I cannot charge the wolf or these guys. They just move away. But he forgot to reform in a way that he can take advantage from his rank. So he has no rank bonus. So this will be interesting. The Lord stays behind the chariot, and the crippled giant just moves to the side to force me to manage him, but he has only a couple of wounds left. Minos look forward. I know there are going to be some opportunities for me because both Minotaurs unit are out of BSB bubble, and if I can frenzy bait them, that could be really interesting for me, especially the ones on the left, because that could give mercenaries some free pivot, for example. In his magic phase, he boosted these guys, I think, gave them some additional charge, and then he did 2 wounds to my bruiser with the shooting of these guys. My turn 3, I took the charge with the Keen Eater on the back, considering the fact that he has only 2 standards and I have a charge in the back. 3 models strike at me, I have 4 attack hatred, I had a good chance to win the fight, and then I can stick him in place and force him to charge me, meaning I can be more aggressive. And I took another charge. I took the charge of the Death Star against the Chariot. It was a 10 Swift Stride, but I consider if I succeed in this charge, I think that's the game here, more or less, because I can charge. I charge here, then it's a short Swift Stride overrun against the Beast Lord in the flank. So I think I get him as well, and then it's a free pivot to go where I want with the Death Star. So I think that's the game. So I think it was definitely worth taking it. And I had the option to block the unit that could countercharge me, so I wasn't afraid to take it. But yeah, I failed this charge. These guys, they just move forward, I think out of arc of the chariot, if I'm not wrong. Position the dog and stuff to be ready to chaff stuff. And here I decided to frenzy bait the Mino. It's 8 maximize. If he fails it, he needs to charge me. I can stand and shoot and then kill him in combat before he strikes. So I thought that could be very interesting. Especially I will have a free pivot. So yeah, it's a very nice situation for me. And I was still able to move forward 6. Have a line of sight at the giant to shoot at him. Just to force him to, yeah, if I do some other wounds to giant, that could be very annoying for him. And at the same time, frenzy baiting him. So that's nice. Moving also the Frosty forward. And yeah, these guys fail charge, these guys move forward, I back slightly more the giant, and I turn around the cannon to manage them. They have only strength 3, I have toughness 5, so I was feeling okay here, and I can shoot at them before they go in combat. So that was going to be nice, with the volley gunfire. In my magic phase, that one wasn't 10, it was an 11. It was an 11, so unlikely an 11 Swift Stride, but still worth it because no big downside, and if I make it, like I said, I think it's more or less the game. Use Binding Scroll on Swarm of Insect, and then I got Break the Spirit on them and +1 strength, I think, on the cannon. I don't know exactly why. I casted that here. I could have done something slightly different, but yeah, I decided to put +1 strength just in case he charges me, to get some better roll to wound with the guy on top. Shooting, kill like a couple of guys, but didn't force a panic check. And close combat was really interesting. He passes the reroll but failed the fear, or the opposite, don't remember. I win. He's steadfast, but only on the 8 rollable because of the fear, and he failed that one, which is huge because there is Shaman in here, there is the BSB in here, but fortunately for him, I didn't catch him. He could have, like I said before, he could have easily avoided that by just reforming 7 wide, then he has 3 rank, and then he doesn't lose combat, I think. So yeah, that was a bit unfortunate, but could have been avoided, and fortunately for him, I didn't catch him, because that would have been huge here in the middle. So yeah, that was it. Let's go to his turn 3. So he rallies these guys on a 9, so that was nice. He counter charge, yeah, and with overrunning, with pursuing, I moved out of arc of the giant. So he decided to do multiple charges. I will try to think what happened. So first of all, he charged with the dog against them. I ult, then he charged with the Beast Lord against them, and the idea for him was to overrun with the dog to block me and then to have the Beast Lord in nice position, which annoyed me a little bit. So I knew about that, so I decided to flee the second charge, and I just fled over there with a low roll. Was just enough to jump over. No problem with panic. Then he decided to redirect the charge of the Beast Lord. I'm just thinking what he did. How did he move? Ah yeah, I think he had the space to turn here, make the wheel and contact me. That's what he did. And then he failed charge with these guys. So that was his move. No other charge, I guess. He passed the Discipline Frenzy Maximize here, which was huge. So he moved to my flank, which is a bit annoying. Moved the Giant to the front. Move the Chariot to look at me, so this is going to be interesting. And these guys, yeah, like I said, rally. So everybody is here in the middle, ready to close combat, and these guys are threatening my flank, which is a bit annoying. Minos look to the side. He doesn't want to get frenzy bait. He has some wild. No, they didn't come on the board. And Giant is staying like here. These guys just reposition since they have break the spirit on them. And he uses the gargoyle to chaff my Death Star, to avoid me going for a crazy combo charge against them. In the magic phase, he got distracting on his Death Star, and then the Keen Eater, I did nothing to his Beast Lord. He did 1 wound to me only, meaning I was still alive with 2 wounds remaining. And I even managed my reform check to face him, so that was nice. He's going to be blocked a bit more. Let's move to my turn. So what I decided to do was to use the dog as a single chaff for both units, which was nice. So I blocked 2 units with 1 guy. I just need to pass the terror check on the 9 rollable after I reformed them. I went for the chaff. I used these guys as chaff and back the Giant, just to make sure that if you want to charge me, there is no overrun, and then I can charge you with the Giant. So I thought that was nice. Here I charged the scoring units, and these guys, I decided to take a small risk to say, you can charge me in the flank. I have 10 attacks poison going before you. You have 4 wounds left, so I should be fine. What I could have done, the slight problem is with moving the unit in the Yetis in the middle and then making space for them, I increase the space between both units, and they are not going to be within BSB range. And I think that was a huge mistake on my part. I could have made sure that these guys stay within BSB, and the Yetis could have been put differently. For example, one in the front and 1 in the back, and just to make sure that they are within BSB, because that's a small risk for me. In the magic phase, we got I think with Swarm of Insect. No, I didn't do Swarm of Insect. I think I didn't do much with magic. I did 2 wounds to the Giant who is shooting. These guys shot the Giant. Yeah, I wanted to have a look here at the center. I could have maybe give them a front, but I didn't want to. For me, it was really important to have a look at them. So I think the position of the mercenaries giving the flank isn't a big issue. 2 small things, like I said, I should have given the BSB and also put the champion to the flank to get an additional attack. So that was 2 mistakes from my part. But yeah, that was it. Magic and nothing big, and then close combat. Here we didn't do anything to each other. Here I just kill his chaff and reform. And that was it. His turn, he charged my dog with them. These guys didn't move much. He was in combat. Moved the Chariot on the hill. They failed frenzy, charged me in the flank. We'll see what happened. These guys charge me. Turn around them to look at me. Just make sure if I charge with Giant, he can then counter charge also. Here was in combat. He passes break test last turn. And yeah, these guys rally, by the way, last turn. Yeah, on the magic phase, he got +1 attack on the Chariot, these guys, to maximize his chance to kill me. But he didn't do much. He did like a couple of wounds to me, but I was still able to attack and do some wounds and pass a check like on the -2 or 3, and I passes it, so that was nice. He gave me another chaff, by the way. He killed my chaff here and reform. And here what happened is I left him on 1 wound. I did only 3 wounds, and then with 1 guy, 3 attack on battle focus, he passes all of them, 1 battle focus, and did 4 wounds to me, meaning he won by 1. I was steadfast, but yeah, that was an 8 with no reroll. Could have been really, really annoying. Fortunately for me, I passes it, but I should have been more careful here. A bit annoying. And here I think we're still stuck. It's crazy. My turn 5. So on the left, we're still in combat. What happened? I took a charge with the Frosty against his giant because I loved the possible overrun that I had. He decided to flee that charge, and then I redirect on double 6 against chariot, but also to force third check 8 rerollable. He passes that one. Then I charge with a small unit against the flank of them, and then I already position myself to chaff him just to see what would be my combat reform in case I succeed. Reposition the Death Star to the left. Here we're still in combat, and I failed a very low charge with the giant. It was on the 4, and I failed it, so that was very, very annoying for me. I was really fortunate to stick in combat, and now I'm a bit unfortunate with the counter charge, so that's annoying. And here we're still stuck in combat. In the magic phase, I got Swamp Insect, did 2 wounds to this giant, and then with the poison shot from the BSB, I killed the giant. So that was nice. I put +1 toughness on mercenaries just in case you want to charge me with the chariot. And I also, yeah, that was it. And yeah, with giant dying, it's another panic check on them, this time on a 9 rerollable, and they fail it. So yeah, it's not their game. They fail the panic, go over the Beast Lord, but again, fortunately for my opponent, he was still on the board. So at least that was that. He killed my guy in combat. Here, I fluffed completely with 7 attacks, 1 impact, 1 stomp. I did 1 wound to him, and he stick on a hard roll, but yeah, thanks God, since he failed panic, he's not in a position to charge me and overrun, because that would have been a nightmare. But I think I would have been still able to reform 3 wide and chaff him and give him a back, and just make sure he cannot charge my bruiser. So I think I was still fine here. And here, finally, I killed them, I guess. And in the meantime, he come on the board with the Longhorn to score this, it was last turn, to be able to score this secondary objective. So it's turn 5, he took the charge against my giant, I flee over the wall. I know it's 8, no reroll to rally, but I couldn't afford that. I stayed on the chariot and fled on the Minotaurs, or the opposite, I don't remember. Then the giant moves on the hill to threaten me. He charges my Frost Mammoth with the chariot. I fled to safety. Here is in combat. He rallied these guys on a 9, no reroll, so that's good. And yeah, I killed the Minotaur last turn. I Binding Scroll, break the spirit, because nothing better to do, just in case I want to take some charges. He put +1 toughness on them to avoid me charging them, and he put also something like distracting on them, I guess. Close combat, I kill the dogs, and then my last turn, I charge with my general Grisus against the chariot, and also them, because with a small overrun I was going to be out of arc of everybody. So I think I was already out of arc of both already. So I just charged with him and charged with them, try to break them. Death Star didn't move much, just make sure I have my unit within the center, and then just shooting at them, rally the Frosty, rally the Giant, and saving the points. And then in my shooting phase, I'm able to finishing him with the cannon. Boom, goodbye. Killing breaking the chariot, catching them with a double 6 from them, which was nice. And yeah, that's more or less the end of the game. His turn 6. Yeah, these guys, they rallied this turn, I think. Chariot didn't do much, and yeah, that was it more or less. That was the end of the game. So it ended up being a 13-7. Because we tied on secondary objective, but I got the +1 since I killed his giant, and he didn't kill one of my giants, so it's a 14-7, which is a strange score. And basically it took from me a Keen Eater, Tiger, and a unit of Bruiser. Post-game analysis, the map and the configuration of Dawn Assault forces me to focus on one token. I didn't see an option to be able to play for both. Deployment, I think it was a right choice on the left with mercenaries, but I was a bit at risk on the right. Maybe I could have like put the Yetis, because we saw the Yetis didn't do much on the left. Maybe I could have used them on the right to add some additional pressure and maybe be in a better position on the right and try to also threaten somehow his scoring unit later on. I don't know, but I think maybe the Yetis could have been also on the right. I have to be very careful. I wasn't punished, but yeah, mercenaries need to stay within general BSB all the time. Like I said, Longhorn could have reformed 7 white to avoid a possible disaster. Some unexpected CC result, so the Chariot against my Bruiser was unexpected, and then my Tribesman against the Dogs, it was kind of strange. Also his Lord taking like 3 rounds to kill a Keen Eater, so that was strange. Yeah, Frenzy minus out of BSB range can be really coin flip, because anytime you can be forced to charge, getting killed, giving me a free pivot, and that could be very, very dangerous. Regarding my list, so yeah, Totemic Summon could have been really great against the Chaff and his ambush, so I think here that was a big mistake for me, taking Hereditary instead of Totemic Summon. I have plenty of Chaff now in my list. With this couple of change, I have more small unit that I can sacrifice, so that's nice. Yetis can still be annoying with their movement, but they are much more expendable. You're not afraid to lose them to a panic check because they are really cheap. I mean, much cheaper than 5 Yetis. And I think Beast Earth, they could have been much more aggressive on the right flank. That's the main regret for me from a Beast Earth perspective, because if you watch right flank, I have only a giant cannon, not a lot of stuff. He could have just used 1 unit to cover the move of my giant if I would be willing to go out of arc and do crazy stuff, and then the rest should have really pushing forward to try to eat this right flank, and that's everything combined. I mean, if you can take the giant, take a cannon, take a couple of scoring, that's almost 1,000 points. So I think the right flank could have been much more aggressive from his perspective. So yeah guys, that was it for this practice game. So you will see again this list on the table in the upcoming tournament in Lausanne, Switzerland. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you soon on my channel. Bye bye.